This is Motley Fool Answers. I'm Alison Southwick, and I'm joined as always by Robert Brokamp, personal finance expert here at the Motley Fool. Hey, bro.
Well, hello, Alison.
In this week's episode, we're joined by the latest crop of Motley Fool analysts, our most recent graduates of the Investor Development Program. They're going to share their foolish investing principles and pitch us some stocks. All that and more on this week's episode of Motley Fool Answers. So, bro, what's up?
Absolutely nothing. Thank you very much.
Hey, let's move on with the show then.
Oh.
Somebody didn't do his homework. That's
boy.
okay. You work hard.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
that's what's up.
That's what's up.
So, bro, we have a number of very special guests in the studio today. You are giving me the cheesiest of cheesy smiles right now.
Just to distract you.
Just because you're so excited. So we have the not so recent graduates, but most recent graduates of our IDP, I guess it's,
Program.
I was going to say IDP program, but isn't it Investor Development Program?
Yeah,
is what I would have ended up accidentally
Or
saying.
IDP.
Our IDP. Ugh, that's. Anyway, we have a thing. It's called the Investor Development Program, where we bring on. Well, actually, I'll ask you guys what it was. But first, let's go around the table. We have Tom King, Ari Hughes, TJ Piggott. Did I say that right?
You got it.
It's still like Peugeot or Piget.
No, I'm not French, but a lot of people think that. So,
and Maria Gallagher. And so, welcome, you guys. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
All right, that sounds
Jinx.
good.
Yeah, this is a record. Most people we've had on Answers. Let's see how this goes.
Is it?
At one time, sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like when we did the pumpkin spice challenge, we had a lot of people in here.
Perhaps.
And that was hard-hitting investing stuff. And so let's see if we can live up to that. All right, let's start with you, Tom. Where are you from? How'd you find out about the Motley Fool?
So I'm from South Africa, and I came here in July 2018, and the Motley Fool was hiring. And that's how I found out about it. And,
Were you reading about the Motley Fool in South Africa?
I had heard of the Motley Fool, but I didn't know it well.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what was your background? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up? When you came out here?
I was a environmental scientist in South Africa. I wasn't I wasn't an analyst.
And then you're like, I'm just going to move to America, and I'm going to become a stock analyst?
Yeah. Well, I wrote some exams before I made that move, which was probably wise. And then, I after I finished the exams, I was like, no, I think I'm ready to go. Yeah, and I just came.
Just to be clear, wrote some exams is the way that you all say you took your exams and passed them, right?
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
got it. You were not a test creator. Got it.
All right, let's go next to Ari Hughes. Ari, where are you from? How did you find out about the Motley Fool?
How's it going? I'm from Northern Virginia, and I found out about the Motley Fool in college. I used to read the articles, and then within the last couple of years, I really wanted to transition into stock research. So I was like, kind of getting on the market and like kind of looking for jobs, and I came across the Motley Fool and applied, and here I am.
All right, and then TJ, how about you?
so let's see here. I've been at the Fool now for almost 5 years now. So I found you guys because I was looking to transition from doing financial planning to more of the investment analysis. So before I came upstairs, I was managing the trading desk for the Motley Fool Wealth Management.
All right, and Maria?
I found about the Motley Fool when I was applying to jobs in my senior year of college, and I started here as an intern last summer. And then I worked out in the asset management department doing marketing and shareholder experience for 6 months, 8 months, and then I came up here for IDP.
So I'm not sure who wants to tackle this question, but which one of you would like to tell me a little bit about what IDP was like? What was that experience like for you?
It was about 6 months. Basically, we had classes of about 3 hours of classes a week, and then in between those classes we had various assignments and projects we were working on. So the pace was reasonably brisk, but it was not overwhelming. So it was very pleasant. Yeah.
And then now, what services do all of you work on? Because that was the idea, is to educate people in foolish investing and then kind of send them off to work on different services that we provide. So we can go around the table here. Which ones do you work on?
So I'm working on the discovery services right now.
I'm working on Marijuana Masters.
extreme opportunities.
Working on stock advisor and rule breakers. And we're now doing a rotational program, kind of like we're doctors. So we have a year and we'll each do all of these programs one at a time. So we have another until this June. We'll all be doing different rotations of analysis.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Are you guys enjoying it?
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think it kind of forces. I was a very conservative investor, and I think the rotation puts you in programs or kind of forces you to look at stocks you may not have originally looked at on your own. So I think it's great exposure.
Yeah. Is that hard to think about investing in marijuana and cannabis stocks when you're a conservative investor?
It's an adjustment.
Yeah.
It's an adjustment. A lot of research and due diligence.
Yeah, sure. All right, well, we brought you on here to each pitch a stock to our listeners. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to let our listeners vote on which stock they are most interested at. I don't know. Does that seem fair or not fair?
Yes.
Just to up the competition?
Yeah,
You're
why
up
not?
for it? I love it. Yes. All right. So know that you are being judged. And this basically is like writing an exam. That's not how you would use that in this case. Is that it?
Writing an exam? Yeah, that's how you'd say it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so, all right. So each of you has come with a stock that you would like to talk about, why you like it, and then also highlight a foolish investing principle. Obviously, you can tackle more than one if you want, but I think each of you, at least one, we're going to also talk a bit about at least one foolish investing principle that you've learned at IDP. I don't know how we want to decide who goes first. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by a toe. If he hollers, let him go. My mother told me to pick the
Spin the
very
bottle.
best one, and you are it.
Wow, okay.
You I saw that coming. All right, Ari.
Okay, so to kind of introduce the stock I'm going to talk about, I tend to gravitate towards companies that I believe have one of the major competitive advantages or multiple of them, those being network effects, switching costs, intangible assets, or cost advantages. So the company I'm going to talk about today is Etsy, which I believe has tremendous network effects within its niche. So what Etsy is essentially a global marketplace for unique and creative goods. Think your local arts and crafts festival, but online and with global scale. And what this does is it connects creative entrepreneurs with consumers looking for items intended to be special. So most of these items you cannot find on Amazon or anywhere else for that matter. So we see kind of protection from Amazon there. And these categories of items that are for sale are homeware, home furnishings, jewelry, personal accessories, apparel, craft supplies, paper, party supplies, beauty, and personal care. So anything these entrepreneurs just want to create. And then as of June 30th, 2019, Etsy had 42 million active buyers and 2 million active sellers on the platform. So we see this platform just growing more valuable and more valuable as more users come to it. And it's the premier place for those homemade goods. And it's also survived a direct threat from Amazon Handmade, which was directly made to compete with Etsy. And Etsy was still able to thrive after Amazon launched this and still grow revenues. So how does Etsy make money? Well, they have what's called a seller-aligned business model. So essentially, Etsy makes money when its sellers make money. And the seller's looking at a 20-cent listing fee and then 5% of the transaction fee. So that's what you'd call your take rate. So if I'm a seller and I sell an item on Etsy, Etsy takes 5% of the value of that item. So they also provide tools for their sellers to make the platform more valuable. So they have promoted listings, so your store appears higher on search lists. And then they also offer discounted shipping labels with USPS, FedEx, so you can get your packages out to your customers on time. So market opportunity. The market for special goods in its 6 core geographies is estimated to be $100 billion. And if we compare that to Etsy's revenues today, or not Etsy's revenues, but gross merchandise sales, it's $3.9 billion. So we only see 3.9% market share. So we see a lot of upside to grow revenues still within the future. If we look at the financials as of June 30th, 2019, we recently see 40% year-over-year revenue growth, 69% gross margin. So this is a very profitable business. and they've increased free cash flow over 100% over the last year. And then it's a very clean balance sheet. So we have over $250 million of net cash on the balance sheet. So this business is very safe. It has a lot of the, it's small, growing, very profitable, which we don't see in some smaller businesses. This is one of my highest conviction ideas. Thank you.
That's adorable that you just said thank you. So I actually I use Etsy to buy lots of things, but I think I've never invested in it, largely because it's not the same as Amazon in my mind, where I'm like, oh, I need this daily thing. I'm going to go to Amazon. Etsy's where I go when I need to buy a present for someone or something very specific. Like, so the other day I wanted to find a Baby Shark Nationals t-shirt, right? There's got to be someone out there who's like, I got to jump on this trend and make a Baby Shark mashup with the Nationals because of, I assume, our listeners maybe don't know, but it's a whole Nationals thing. And we're going to the World Series. It's amazing.
Yes, very exciting.
And that's something that I would go to Etsy for, because it would be like crafted by someone who really is a fan of the Nationals and gets it, but they didn't have anything yet. So I'm still
that's
bummed.
unfortunate.
Big case.
That sounds like a business opportunity, Allison.
I know, we need to make some Baby Shark Nationals shirts now.
You could be a seller on Etsy.
That's true.
Oh, I could.
It's very easy
I
to
just
do.
got customized mugs on Etsy.
They're great.
My
Etsy's
friend and
great,
her boyfriend moved in together, and they like the TV show Friends. So I got them a mug. This is the one where Alyssa and Patrick moved in together, like the title of the Friends. They both loved it. It was an A+ gift.
Right? It's great.
It
for
was
gifts.
really well
It's
received.
great for gifts.
And may I note, that's an item you'd never find on Amazon.
No,
Yeah,
it's so great. And so I think, though, why I've never, even though I love Etsy and I bought tons of things off of it, I guess it just doesn't seem as necessary. And I worry that when the economy goes south, someday it will, I know, but someday it'll also come back.
Not with cheap money. We
right.
got tons of cheap money out there.
Oh no, TJ's our doomsday guy on the show. That Etsy will also take a bigger hit than other retailers, because it's something that's like, it's not a luxury, but it's a website of nice to haves. Does that make sense?
Right.
So I think that's where I struggle with investing in Etsy. But does anyone else have any thoughts on investing in Etsy?
I'll just say I feel the same way. I mean, I'm a very seasonal shopper on Etsy. As we've talked about on the show, my daughter has sold stuff on Etsy, and actually it is very easy to do. But it was luxury item, slime. So when the economy turns down, I think the slime market will take a hit.
Yeah, but I love Etsy as a consumer. And so I need to probably look into them a little bit more and think more long term, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think that's something they're working on, is kind of that reoccurring element, because usually people go only on those special occasions, so maybe that results in one purchase per year. And I think that's something they're aiming to address, but I definitely see that concern.
So how do we convince people that they need customizable cactuses on a regular basis?
Well, think about how often there are new holidays too, because it's almost Halloween, and then it's almost Thanksgiving, and then it's almost Christmas, and then there's somebody's birthday and somebody's bridal shower and somebody's something. So there are consistent gift giving opportunities if you look for them. And also when you're thinking about the downturn, I mean, you can get a wedding dress on Etsy, and wedding dresses from Kleinfeld's, which is where I say yes to the dresses, those are much more expensive. So there are opportunities within Etsy where Etsy is actually cheaper than other higher scale things, but also still has that special thing. So if you are doing a wedding on a budget or a baby shower on a budget, Etsy might actually be a cheaper option for you than some of your other potential stores that you could go to.
Yeah. Thank you. That was great. All right. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what investing lesson specifically around Etsy? Maybe talk a little bit more around. So when I look at Etsy, the foolish investing principle that really stands out to me is...
So maybe not so much in Etsy, but one of my kind of principles that I did take away from IDP is kind of that management alignment. So one of the things I look for now that I wasn't doing prior to starting at The Fool is high inside ownership. So looking to see if the executive owns a large stake in the company. So essentially he's going to be incentivized for the company to perform. He does well, you do well. Just kind of that alignment there, and making sure his incentives are aligned with investors. That's a big takeaway for me for IDP, and I think that's important to The Fool, one of our guiding principles.
We don't need another hero. All right, TJ, you ready to go? What's your stock?
So you mentioned the Nationals, right? So, I mean, big shout out to the Washington Nationals for winning the NLCS, and best of luck to them during the World Series.
Do you mean that?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
because you're saying that as if you don't really mean that.
He's an understated guy.
Yeah,
Are you a
okay.
Nationals fan?
I am.
Okay.
So I'm from Michigan originally. I kept most of my teams with the exception of baseball. I kind of split the difference, but I can't get on the Redskins train because their management and their ownership is not great. And how do you give up the Red Wings for the Caps? Yeah, Caps got one Stanley Cup, but the Red Wings have like multiple. So, it is what it is.
Would you buy your son a Baby Shark Nationals jersey from Allison?
Of course I would.
there
As a
you
matter
go.
of
You
fact,
have another customer.
you got purchase number one, right? Or
Right?
number two. Yeah, I'll do it.
You get matching ones. It could be Daddy Shark and Baby Shark, and then it would be Nationals somehow.
And then we can sing the song and drive my wife nuts. She'll go crazy.
Well, she gets a Mommy Shark shirt. It's great for the whole
And
family.
Halloween's coming up too, so you could recycle it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
All right, we got to figure out how to make T-shirts fast. Okay.
So yeah, we got the World Series getting ramped up. Football's in full effect. Hockey, basketball, everybody's out there. So I mean, what pairs well with sports and a cold one? Cold one could be a beer, soda, kombucha. I'm not going to judge. Whatever you want. But you know what goes well with that? Wings. All right. So the company I like a lot is called Wingstop. Ticker is WING. They have a market cap around 2.6 billion, but they're not cheap. All right. So I just want to preface that right now. So all you value investors out there, just shut me out for the next 3 to 5 minutes and just ignore the
Tap 30 seconds forward
yeah,
a few times.
just tap forward,
Yeah.
okay? Because on a trailing PE multiple around 131 times.
Yikes.
Yeah, and then on a forward basis 112. So they're getting there, right?
It's a lot better.
It's a lot better. So obviously, like I said, they specialize in wings, and they have a great vision of being a top 10 global restaurant brand. So as of mid-year, they have around 1,200 stores globally in 10 markets. So they're still really small. Their long-term goal is to have 3,000 domestic and 3,000 international. So a good runway for growth for these guys. Unit sales have grown at 15% compound annual growth rate since 2013. So pretty respectable numbers there. What's really also great is the fact in the past 15 years, they've had consecutive same-store sales growth. So no slowdown at all for the past 15 years. So I think that's part of the reason why they trade at a high premium, because people are bidding them up because they believe in the franchise growth here. I said franchise, but also it's a franchise business. So low CapEx, they get nice revenue take from those stores. So it's beautiful in that regard. They do pay a baby dividend while you wait, so around 0.5% on an annual basis. So not terrible, but not great in this environment. They are building brand awareness by national TV advertisements, so they're really ramping that up. They've increased their the contribution to that pool, roughly 50. It went from 3 to 4% for this year, and they foresee that to continue to as they try to roll out the stores. Focus big on digitizing all the customer experience via their new mobile app, which is actually translated into about 5% higher average check size, which if you do that over multiple sales, that's a pretty significant add. In addition to that, they're trying to improve their margins by having ordering kiosks similar to what Panera has. Anybody use Panera? So they're doing that. They're doing delivery-only locations. Think of ghost kitchens. So they're really cutting down on the cost of labor and benefits there. And also doing pickup bins, just trying to drive the margin expansion. Delivery is a big part of the story too. So delivery rollout just this year, they've partnered up with DoorDash. So they're getting new exposure to new customers that they never have experienced Wingstop. So of the delivery orders, 8 out of 10 are new customers that have never had Wingstop. So a nice driver there as well. And based on their forecasted goal, roughly about 80% of stores will have delivery by the end of 2019. So I like where they're going. I like the growth there. And yeah, that's it.
What do you think of their wings?
They're delicious.
Are they?
They're really good. For takeout, and everything's trending more to the fast casual. People are eating out less and taking stuff home. So they're really playing on that. So their footprint is really small. I think it's roughly around 2,000 square feet max. So you can eat there, but generally speaking, most people do take out. And now delivery, you compound that. Plus, they're also working on fortressing their markets so they get as fast a delivery time as possible. So, yeah.
I've never heard of this company. Have you got? Am I the
I've had Wingstop.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's funny to me because I'm not really big on wings. So the idea of like wings, we got wings, and for some people it just might make their heart just pitter patter, and they're so excited. I mean, I like banchan. I'll eat a lot of banchan.
Banchan is delicious. There's one opening up by my house. I'm so excited.
Are you like South Route 1 down that way?
In Alexandria?
Yeah.
I'm just waiting.
It's gonna be so good, right?
Ari's camped out outside, like the iPhone 11. He's just sitting there waiting for banchan.
Right. So I feel so it's funny how like you're talking to me about wings at Wingstop, and I'm like, I guess. Okay, investing in a wings company, but I've never had their wings. And whereas if it's like, oh yeah, I think we should invest in banchan, I'm like, here, take my money. I would like to invest all of my money in banchan. So it's just funny the idea of like, if you try something and it's like, oh, I love this, then you really want to see more of it. You want more locations. You want a location right at your house, and you really want to see it grow. What about opportunities beyond wings? Like, is this something that you're like, they need to figure out what to offer more than wings? Or it's like, no, you know what? They can go and become a bajillion-dollar company and just serve wings.
You know, they've kind of addressed that in the past, and they said, look, we want to do something really, really well. Like, we're trying to be, this is our niche. Like, this is where we want to dominate. And they're doing a really good job on it. So I don't see them really branching out. If anything, they might offer different varieties of wings or different kind of specials with, like, the wings. Like, for example, now they have a recent special they had, instead of having just the wing or the drum, it was actually the whole wing. That was their kind of like new idea. But I mean, and
Feathers and all.
no feathers, sans the feathers. But also they roll out with like specialty sauces like that are limited time only. So like they try to play to that. They do also do fries and like small sides and stuff like that. But no, really, I mean, they're just a wing company.
Yeah.
It's just that's. You know, Buffalo Wild Wings, yeah, they branched out, but also they,
It's wings.
It's wings.
It's
It's
wings.
wings. It's what people want.
It's what people want. It's maybe not what they need, but it's what they want.
Yeah, everything in moderation.
Everything
you
in
know?
moderation. Yeah, absolutely. There's room for wings. And what is your foolish investing principle that you wanted to highlight today?
You know, I think it's one that's just important, especially when we get to the top of the market and things might get a little dicey, is the fact that we're long-term investors here at The Fool, and to just make sure that you keep an eye on what your plan is, why you did what you've done already, and don't let the markets gyrate your long-term goals.
Awesome. All right, Maria, are you ready?
Yeah.
What's your stock today?
I have a question.
Okay.
If we win, what do we win? Like if we get the most votes,
World
do we
Series
win
tickets.
something?
You get
World Series tickets.
You get a
Wings.
baby shark t-shirt and some wings.
I don't want either of those things. I do want to win though. Okay, so my stock today is Planet Fitness. For those who aren't familiar, Planet Fitness is a franchise gym community with over 1,800 locations throughout the U.S. and internationally. About 96% of those locations are franchise and 4% are corporate owned. It's a pretty distinct brand. They're known for being the judgment-free zone. That's their slogan. And then they had a great commercial where there was just the man going, I lift things up and put them down and walked out. Don't know if anyone remembers that commercial, but I loved it. And so the main way they make money, they have 3 different revenue streams. The first is because it's majority franchised. The first is royalties, so they get 7% of the money that the franchisees make. The second revenue stream is they actually, every franchisee is required to buy the equipment from Planet Fitness. So they have to buy it and then replace it every 5 to 7 years. So that's a secondary revenue stream. And so if there's a slowdown in store openings, that will still generate cash for the company. And the third is they do have that 4% of corporate owned stores that they own and operate. And that's their third revenue stream. I think their competitive position is they're low cost, high value. It's $10 a month for their regular membership and then $22 a month for their Black Card membership, which is increasing in popularity. So their Black Card membership is now over 60% of their customers. And so it's at that low price point, but you get a good gym, it's big, you have all of the things you need. And then it is at that lower price point. So if you don't go to the gym that month, you say, oh, well, maybe I'll pay for next month and maybe I'll go. If it was a super expensive gym, you might be like, well, I didn't go 1 month. I can't afford to pay for a place I'm not going to. Whereas It doesn't have that problem at Planet Fitness. And then the second thing that I really like about it is their strong brand. They're known as the Judgment Free Zone. They're known for their bright purple and yellow equipment. It's a non-intimidating environment, so it's for people who have never been to a gym before and just want to get healthy because it's good for you. They don't necessarily want to be exercise fiends. They just want to run on the treadmill because their doctor told them they had to, and then go home and take a nap. Like, it doesn't have to be an intense lifestyle choice. And then the franchise model, like TJ said before, it's a little less risky, and it's a good model for a business to have. I think just some exciting things I want to look for in their next conference call, or things that I've noticed recently that I think are exciting. They're opening Planet Fitness and Kohl's are doing a little agreement. So there's going to be...
The department store?
Yeah, the department store. So there's going to be 5 Planet Fitness Kohl's like mishmashes by the end of 2019. So it'll be a Kohl's store and a Planet Fitness attached to it. So most of the people who go to Planet Fitness will combine it with other activities. And so in the time when brick and mortar is hurting, people will go out of their house to go to the gym. So they're actually really attractive to the REITs and the people who are renting out the spaces of the landlords. So Planet Fitness is a tenant that a lot of people want because it consistently has foot traffic. In a time where brick and mortar is hurting, that's really attractive for them. So I'm excited to see how that works out for them. They also did something over the summer called the Teen Summer Challenge, where any teenager between the ages of 14 and 18 was able to join Planet Fitness for free. And they actually had over 900,000 teens sign up for the Teen Summer Challenge. So their next conference call, hopefully we'll get some color on how many people then converted and some more metrics around that. But I think that's exciting. They have an app opening. So I'm excited about that. And then the last thing I wanted to highlight is I think Planet Fitness is really unique because I think they have a pretty big total addressable market in the sense of when you think about other fitness companies, if you're thinking about somebody like Peloton, the people that can afford a Peloton bike, that's a pretty niche part of the population, whereas Planet Fitness isn't looking to compete for that 20% of the Americans that already go to the gym. They're not trying to compete with Peloton and SoulCycle and all those other kind of higher brow boutique fitness studios. Planet Fitness is looking in the exact opposite direction with the 80% of the population who just doesn't go to the gym at all and seeing that as their opportunity, which I think is pretty unique. And they actually... The Global Wellness Institute just came out with their yearly report, and the global physical activity economy was $828 billion in 2018. And so $109 billion of that was fitness spending. And so there's a pretty big addressable market just for people. That is globally, so it's obviously smaller than that. But for people who are spending money in fitness, this is a pretty big opportunity. And the average person in America spends $1,345 a year on some sort of fitness-related activity, which is much higher than the global average, which I thought was also interesting because that is lower than the price point that most of those boutique fitness studios allow. And that's all fitness, so that's including new sneakers and new sports teams, leagues that you join and stuff. So I think Planet Fitness is a really attractive opportunity. So thank you. The end. Vote Planet Fitness.
A vote for Planet Fitness and a vote for health. Unlike wings.
You know, you have some wings, and then you go to Planet Fitness to reduce
Planet
the shame.
Fitness does free pizza and bagels.
Yeah, they do.
They're going for the 80% of the population who does not go to the gym.
Put those calories right back.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think like
how about Wing Wednesday at Planet Fitness?
There you
That's
go.
a partnership.
all of the machines are just covered in sauce for people like eating wings and then going on the. I love it.
The habanero.
Touch something that. So yeah, I think with gyms, man, that is so tough, right? Because we all have really good intentions in January, and then come January 15, we're like, never mind, I'm tired. So how do they do it where other gyms have failed in the past, or the industries of like, well, you really should be doing this, even though we don't always want to.
Well, I think it's great. Well, first of all, there's that low price point. So $10 a month is pretty affordable for a lot of people. So having that kind of motivation of, well, I am paying $10. So it's not free. So I can't just ignore it. Like I am paying some money for it, but it's not so much money that if I don't go 1 month, I just completely am off the bandwagon, whatever. And I think because they have that non-intimidating environment, I go to SoulCycle. I love SoulCycle, but SoulCycle is intimidating. Like I couldn't go to SoulCycle when I had just started working out because I knew I wouldn't be able to keep up. And it's a very hard environment if you're new to fitness. And I think I started going to a Planet Fitness in high school, and it was just everyone looked like everyone. It was like such a range of people who go there. So I think their environment is a really good advantage for them, and the fact that they have free personal training so people can teach you how to use the machines. If you've literally never stepped foot into a gym before, it's a really welcoming environment. And so I think that, and as people realize more and more how important it is just to move your body in any capacity, you don't have to be a total gym rat that goes 6 times a week for 7 hours. Just going 3 times a week for a half an hour is so good for your heart. And just as people find that more and more important, spending $10 a month and just not going super frequently, I think that's a model that most gyms don't utilize. So I think that's probably their kind of unique story.
Thanks. And what is your foolish investing principle that you wanted to highlight today?
My foolish investing principle, and I touched on this a little bit, is I think a lot about the total addressable market, thinking about where a company can fulfill, like where is their money coming from. If it's a really cool business idea, but it just doesn't, there's no need for it or no want for it, that just isn't going to be profitable. So I hadn't really thought about that or really quantified an addressable market other than being like, it sounds big. But thinking about going through census data and going through statistics and stuff and figuring out, well, how many people can this company potentially serve and how is it going to serve them? Like, what is their path to growth? Was something I learned a lot in IDP, and learning just how to think it through in kind of a logical manner was really exciting for me. I liked it a lot. I like numbers.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Tom, you want to bring us home?
Yeah, so I just want to start off by warning the growth investors here that the company I'm about to pitch is actually profitable. So if you're not interested in profits, then please close your eyes. And they've heard me rhapsodize about this company so many times. So if you hear me like choking, you know it's because one of them has got their hands around my throat. So this is Constellation Software. It is a Canadian-based business. Basically, what it does is it acquires small software companies that generally have a small number of employees, like generally not more than 150 or so. And these software companies that it acquires are what they call vertical market software operators. So they create software that operates or provides a solution in a unique niche vertical. So something like the software which schedules trains in a transit system, for example. So it's that kind of technology is very sticky in the sense that the users of that technology, once you're trained up on how to use it, it's integrated into your system, integrated with the hardware, etc. You're not going to want to change it unless you really have to. So it's very sticky in that sense. Obviously, software is an asset-light business. So Constellation, as the owner of all these asset-light businesses, generates a lot of cash from pretty small amounts of investment. So that's basically the business model and how it makes money. It's got very high returns on invested capital. So the cash that it spins off from the money that it invests is very high. That ranges between 24% and 38% over the past 10 years. So that's a very impressive number. You also got, I have a lot of respect for the management team there. I really enjoy, it's really one of those companies where you read the communication from the executives and you genuinely feel like they're trying to help you understand the business. They're not trying to promote it or sell it or make themselves look good. They're genuinely telling you everything, the truth, and in an honest way. And I really appreciate that. It saves you a lot of stress and having to kind of second guess them all the time. So that is. I'll stop there. I could go on and say a lot more things, but So that is my recommendation.
And are companies like this like what you gravitate toward, like tech companies? And because for me, like I shop at Etsy, I eat food and wings, and I know what it's like to go to a gym, but I don't have any understanding of a software company or a tech company. Is this a space where you're like, yeah, I got this, or it's like, I know a little bit, but I really like this company?
No, I don't consider myself a tech guy at all. This is a business which earns very high returns on invested capital, and whether this was a tech business or a steel making business, I would still be interested. But it just happens to be in tech, and that's all there is.
And you
to
said
it.
it's Canadian?
It's headquartered in Canada. Yeah,
Canada.
Canada. But most of the businesses it owns are actually in the US.
Oh, so it trades on
It trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange, but it has a
okay.
it is on the Nasdaq on the over-the-counter market. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
They poach the great tech from the United States and they take it over to Canada. It's fine. It's fair.
TJ, what do you call Canada?
Oh, no. I love Canadians. I have family that are Canadians. They're great people.
We'll leave it there. I don't need to get any hate mail for whatever you might say next. And so what is the investing principle that you wanted to bring today?
I just wanted to highlight return on invested capital is something you should really focus on as investors, as we should focus on. It basically answers the question, what bang am I getting for my buck? What am I spending? What am I getting in return? And it captures a lot of important information in a single metric, and it's very hard to manipulate if calculated correctly. I think it's a number that tends to get ignored at certain times of the market, like when it's particularly bullish, like now. But it's your favorite.
It's your favorite number.
It's my favorite number. Yes.
All right, wonderful. All right, so there we have it. We have Etsy, we have Wingstop, and Etsy is ETSY. Is that their ticker?
Yes, it's exactly the ticker.
Wingstop. I want it to be WING, but it probably isn't, is it?
It is.
That's so great. And then Planet Fitness, their ticker is
PLNT.
And we have Constellation Software. Their ticker on the Toronto Exchange is
CSU.
CSU. So there we go. Thank you guys so much for bringing these stocks and these foolish investing principles today. Now it's your turn, listeners, to vote for the stock that you think was the best. I don't know. Are they voting on which stock they want to invest on or which pitch was the best? How do we want to decide that?
I would say which pitch was the best.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Vote for the best pitch or the best stock. You know what? I don't care. Nothing we do here is scientific.
Just vote for the best.
Just vote for the best. I'm going to post something on our Twitter account, and then I'll also post something to the Motley Fool podcast group on Facebook. So keep an eye out for that, for your chance to vote on the winner. And again, they don't win anything other than bragging rights, but I think that's enough.
That's enough.
I think that's enough for them. Also, if you're looking for more stock ideas and recommendations, you can check out our Stock Advisor service. You'll get stock recommendations from David and Tom Gardner every month, Best Buys Now, and a whole lot more. Just go to saoffer.fool.com, and we've got a special 50% discount for our listeners. Again, check it out at saoffer.fool.com. Do you mind sticking around and having even more competition by playing a game?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yep.
So here at the Motley Fool, we have a chief collaboration officer named Todd Eder, and he creates some pretty cool games for us to play. And this is one that I stole from him that he created for Fool Fest. So if anyone was at Fool Fest and played this, you're going to have a leg up. No? Great. All right. So how this works is they're kind of like puns or dad jokes. So I'm going to give you a clue. And then you are going to come up with, the answer is the name of a company, but with one letter changed. So, for example, if I say, what electronics chain is known for their blue-shirted employees and their contest to see who has the best rear in the UK, the answer is Best Bum. Because
So
it is Best Buy but with one letter.
Okay, because I
change.
got Best Buy, and then I was like, I don't get. Okay.
Exactly. So best bum.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Todd's games are always fiendishly difficult.
They are initially difficult. So, and you each
I'm
have
gonna
a.
be terrible at this.
It's okay, and I can give you clues too. So I can also, if you guys don't get it immediately, I can tell you how many letters. Most of these are 2 words. All right, are you ready? So here we go. Previously famous for telegrams, what company does electronic wire transfers of Vidalia's? Oh, all right, TJ.
Western Union.
But what is the fake company that does wire transfers of Vidalia's shallots and scallions? What is the company with the 1 letter changed?
I don't know.
Okay, let me continue. Okay,
Western Onion.
there we go.
Oh, nice job.
I have a pun thinking brain.
Here we go. Oh.
And do you like
Very
bloomin'
good.
onions, by the way? Just quick aside. Bloomin' onion, yes or no?
How can
I've
you
never
not?
had one. I don't know.
How can you
Oh,
not?
no.
Bloomin' onion.
What is it?
It's basically a massive onion ring, but it's an onion all
Isn't
still
it deep
connected.
fried?
It's it's deep fried.
Amen.
I can't say I've ever had one, but it sounds like I would like it.
They have them at Planet Fitness.
I'm sure they do.
All right, next one. What used auto retailer will help you pave your driveway?
I can think of the
I know
company,
the
but
business.
not the-
I can't.
So you just got to change 1 letter. What used auto retailer will help you pave your driveway? What substance do you use to help pave a driveway? You've got gravel and...
Tarmac.
Cement.
There we go.
Tarmac?
Oh, it's
Close.
as in Carmax. Tarmax.
Tarmax.
There we go.
You got it, Ari. Nice.
I thought
even know
Carmax.
what-
Okay, I thought it was
Oh,
Carmax.
so
but I thought
do I
Carmax was
get-
2 words, and then you said that, and I was like, oh no, it's not
No,
Carmax.
It's not. It's smushed together.
That's confusing.
This is a
All right.
clever game.
I know. This is why we rely on Todd. So I'm going to give that one to you, Ari. All right. What global aerospace and defense company develops giant 10-foot fish with a spear-like snout and a long, rigid dorsal fin?
Boeing.
You have to buzz in, but no. We're going for the fictitious company.
Okay,
so
sorry.
that is 1 letter off from a real company.
Lockheed Marlin.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
That is good.
That was a good one.
All right. What company operates theme parks in Florida and California where people show off their paintball wound marks? What kind of a mark do you get after a paintball hits you?
A bruise.
Yeah, what kind?
A welt.
Uh,
Walt Disney.
So technically Ari buzzed in first.
I just yelled it
You
first.
just yelled it.
That's how you win competitions in my family. Is whoever's
Is
louder.
yelling.
All right, next one. This is 1 word. What pharmaceutical giant specializes in showing compassion and forgiveness? 1 word, 5 letters.
Nicer. No, because Pfizer for nicer. You see, kind
I
of see
think
what
the
I was going
FZ
for.
was like 1
Oh, okay,
word,
never
then
mind,
yeah,
yeah,
but
sorry.
no.
Can you give the hint again?
Okay, so it's 5 letters. What pharmaceutical giant specializes in showing compassion and forgiveness?
It's the last letter that's changed.
How do you know the answers, bro?
Because I'm playing along, but not really playing.
Do you want to hit my buzzer so you can get the point?
Well,
Yeah.
Mercy.
Yes, Mark.
Oh,
Good
no.
job, bro.
Of course.
Since it's my buzzer, do I get the point?
Sure, why
Team
not?
effort. All right. Known for film animation, what production company recently created the smashes Tyne After Tyne and Spoon and Me? Animation film company.
Well, I know the company must be Pixar.
Nope.
It's not. I thought the company was Pixar.
It's the other one.
DreamWorks.
Okay. They made the films Tyne After Tyne and Spoon and Me.
Dreamforks.
There we go.
Nice. Well
TJ
done.
comes in with the company, and I can turn it into the joke.
Teamwork.
All right. This is 1 word. 5 letters. What multinational delivery services company will send you a bovine that is obviously not hungry?
What's a bovine?
Cow.
What?
Oh, Tom wants it to hit it so bad.
Okay, all right. My contribution is FedEx.
Yep.
I can't turn it into a
doesn't
pun.
count.
Bro thinks he knows it.
The pun?
Yeah.
FedEx. It's a cow. Do you want to?
FedOx.
There we go.
Nice, bro.
Okay, 2 more. What designer? I wonder if like the listeners at home are screaming these at their whatever their listening device.
How did you get a job? You don't know anything.
It's FedOx. Okay.
Don't worry, I'll edit it so that it sounds like you get
They're
these
speed
right away.
dialing their
Perfect,
grandma.
thank you.
All right, last one. What designer and manufacturer of airplanes and rockets specializes in jeering during sports events?
Booing.
Hey,
Oh, nice,
very
Maria.
Well done.
nice.
That one was immediate.
I'm going to edit that one. It seemed like it took longer.
No.
Got to give the listeners at home a little time to ponder it. What company makes routers and other networking equipment for dance clubs? It was all
Disco.
the
There we go. Got
Nice.
it.
Good work.
Disco Systems. That's right.
Just took a little warming up. You guys.
Yeah, now you're getting the hang of it. Typical Todd game where you're at first when you hear the directions, you're like, what? And then eventually by the end of it, you're like, oh, I got it. So yeah, so thanks to Todd Etter for letting me steal this game. And thanks for you guys for playing. And in true form, I failed to keep track of who got the most answers.
had
And so
3.
there's no way. There
I
we
had
go.
3. If you count that bro hit my buzzer twice, I had 5.
Well, I think in the end, we're all winners.
That's right.
But it's really me.
Everyone gets a
Nice
medal.
way to put it.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you coming in. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Great time. Thank you.
Bye.
Go Nats. The show is edited developmentally by Rick Engdahl. Our email is answers@fool.com. Again, don't forget to go head to Twitter and find us on Answers Podcast or join the Motley Fool Podcast Facebook group to vote for the best, however you want to define it, to vote for the best stock or stock pitch or whatever. All right, for Robert Brokamp, I'm Allison Southwick. Stay foolish, everybody.